The universe put together by Mike Hodges is unlike anything I've seen before or after. You want to watch Flash Gordon? Because I will do it right fucking now. Sam J. Jones is awesome. Why doesn't anyone fucking use this guy? Oh, wait. Hold on a second. He's in Seth MacFarlane's 2002 film Ted, right? Jesus, I'm supposed to be talking about that film. Oh, man, I really got carried away. Okay, let me do the talking bear with a foul mouth movie instead. A young, friendless boy named John Bennett wishes upon a star one evening that his teddy bear, named Ted, will come to life and be his best friend forever and ever. The wish comes true, and the two grow up together in male-bonding fashion, watching Star Wars, cartoons, and of course, the legendary Flash Gordon. Now, flash forward to adulthood, where Bennett, now 35 and played by Mark Wahlberg, is still palling around with Ted. This time, they advance to smoking weed, drinking beers, and occasionally doing lines of coke with, you guessed it, Flash Gordon himself. The trouble with this bromance, however, is John's girlfriend, who insists John grows up and leave Ted behind. Everything is typical throughout, and you can probably guess where all things will lead. But the star of this film, directed by Seth MacFarlane, who also voices Ted, is the constant pop culture references that makes his huge hit show Family Guy so popular. A show I've done without and will continue to do so. MacFarlane's script attempts to be witty with references that come at you a million miles per hour. They become stale and boring after a while, particularly because this is his shtick. Like I said, it's his star, and I gotta tell you, I'm not that into it. Yeah, Sam Jones and the Flash Gordon stuff in here I like, and I laugh at, and hopefully it entices some of the younger audience to watch the film, but do we really need this guy making movies? Is he saying anything but I watched a lot of TV when I was young? This seems to be a popular way of telling stories and writing dialogue these days, as we've watched the likes of Kevin Smith and our personal favorite, Quentin Tarantino, go about their business in a similar fashion. To be honest, I'm kind of sick of it. As you can tell, I'd much rather have a conversation about Flash fucking Gordon than anything Seth MacFarlane could come up with. It makes me sad to think about the fools, the robots, the goddamn boring fucks that enjoy this kind of nonsense and allow another $100 million to be put into a sequel, Ted 2, where they get the exact same fucking thing again. I'm expecting much here, but the only heart this film has is the fact that MacFarlane knows his comics, cartoons, and camp. It's all too easy at the end of the day, which is why I'll continue to go unchallenged with most of the films I screen. Thanks, Flash, for saving every one of us. And that is my take on Ted. Blah, blah, blah.
Are they really doing Ted 2? I didn't really.
Oh, yeah.
They are, huh?
Absolutely, and I believe Ted 3 is kind of might be a lock as well.
Yeah.
Of course it is. I mean, this is big.
There's so many questions that got unanswered.
This is big business, Joe.
It was a big movie, huh? I'm so out of it, Tom. I have no idea.
It's not even that it was a big movie, although I think it did okay. It's just that's how movies are really done nowadays. Is to get a movie made, you have to have a franchise. You have to have 3. And they're locked and loaded on sequels before they even know if the first movie is going to do well.
Right.
Yeah. Well,
apparently Liam Neeson and Morgan Freeman are going to be in Ted 2, according to IMDb, along with our hero Dennis Haysbert and Michael Dorn from Star Trek. Wow, that's quite a cast that they already have attached to that thing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a Quentin Tarantino movie. He's just pulling out all these guys that, he adored watching, as a young man before he was a filmmaker. And just watch any of those Tarantino movies. You see these guys everywhere, and MacFarlane in a way is doing, the same kind of stuff. I mean,
he's got a huge...
You said that. Absolutely true. He's got his people. He's got his gang. He's got his go-to people. And he's also brings in all the old school people that we love.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm kind of getting bored with it, Adam. I mean, I'm not, there's just nothing here. I'm tired. It really kind of irritates me that there's all this. I mean, look, it's like beating a dead horse here. I mean, with this conversation, we all have it. We all have our dreams and desires to do things artistically that, would be great if money would be put into. But, to see the amount of money to be thrown at shit like this, and it's just, it's nonsense. And you know what? People forget, people forget about this shit. They go to the theater. Like, it's amazing to me that millions of people will go to the theater to see Ted, and they'll make their fucking $100 million. And then by Tuesday, the audience just they don't care. They've moved on. It doesn't stick with them. Man, Joe, how many times have we watched movies, this year? Let's just think about what Linklater did this summer. Just take that for an example. How long a movie like that sticks with you. And then there's just shit like this that just gets just gets everything it needs to do whatever.
We keep having this conversation, man. Yeah, it's more of like a supply and demand type of thing. People are going to go to the movies. It doesn't matter what's playing. So, if it's packaged correctly, they're going to buy it. They're going to consume it, and then they're going to shit it out.
I'm sorry, guys, but when you throw Ted at me, I can't. There's not much more I can talk about, because this film. What do you want to talk about? Mark Wahlberg's performance.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. Now, here is a quality actor taking his time to do a movie like this.
Right. Right. And what does that say about him?
He also did Pain and Gain recently.
Yeah, exactly.
But okay, so listen, I'm not even challenging anything you're saying. But why do all these people want to work with him? Is it just a paycheck? Do you think
Wahlberg or MacFarlane?
Well, even just like the people that you just listed off that are signed on for 2, is it just a paycheck, you think,
exactly,
for these guys?
Because what I said when I introduced Ted is that there's these mindless goons that go to the theater and turn on their televisions that just want to watch this stupid fucking shit. Listen, when I was impressed with Quentin Tarantino? When I was an idiot kid, when I was 21 years old. Do you understand what I'm saying?
So you didn't like the movie, Tom, is what you're trying to say.
Listen, I don't hate it, Billy. I can't hate it, but what the fuck is it? What does it mean?
You can hate it.
Do you feel you're just aging out of the demographic that those movies are aimed at? Because they were making those same movies in the 80s, and you were probably laughing your ass off.
That's what I'm kind of saying, Billy, when I say, well, I was impressed with a Quentin Tarantino script when I was 21 years old. Yeah. Now it's just like, it's like, come on, dude, like, do something else. It's like, and all these guys, it's like they come up. It doesn't matter. It doesn't even have, a lot of these, like, look at a guy like M. Night Shyamalan. Like, he just basically, like, he just kept making these fucking movies with the same kind of surprise ending. And all I wanted to see from the guy was a real story. Like, direct a movie, dude. Give me something. And I don't want to sit there and listen to some fucking wise ass that, thinks he knows everything because he could tell you that Lawrence Hilton Jacobs, was on fucking Welcome Back, Kotter. Yeah, I don't give a fuck. I know that.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's a case of the pot calling the kettle.
Yeah, but I don't walk around bragging about that, or like I don't put it into my everyday dialogue to impress fucking people. Hey, you know what? I used to when I was a younger guy.
So you're getting frustrated and impatient with pop culture as identity.
I'm just
kind of vibe, right?
That's old and I'm getting bitter. And it's
well, you're getting older. You're growing out of it. Like I'm just trying to hone in on what the main problem is with what you're having. Is it because it's so
I'm sweating right now? I'm pulling my hair, Joe.
Is it because it's so pop reference laden? Is that the main beef that you got with?
Yeah, because is that art, Joe? Is that something that is entertaining?
Well, it was art when Andy Warhol did. It was art. It was arguably art in 1958 or 62 when Andy Warhol was doing it. That was 50 years ago or whatever, And it's become, pop culture has become the thing. It's like has become the experience upon which art is commenting, and it's just over and over and over again. And it just my issue with it is that it just tends to become empty. You know what I mean? It's not actual experience. It's fabricated experience, media experience, and this is what we're talking about, our experiences with media and how they're affecting us I do see it as it becomes empty, and I get tired of it, as well as is well documented, and I have my issues with it. But that said, I mean, a film like this, if you walk into it right in the right frame of mind, I have other problems with it as well, but I could sit there and enjoy it a little bit. I mean, no, but I mean, yeah.
I mean, I've blasted movies before on the show from what is it? What was that? 30 Minutes or Less to 21 Jump Street. I don't know if you were involved in the 21 Jump Street conversation, but I remember you were defending 30 Minutes or Less. I mean, that this is bad filmmaking, and you're defending the shit. All the time you do this. Why do you just say that it sucks, Joe, please?
Well, it's not great. It's not good. My main problem with it actually is it's an adolescent film, based on an adolescent premise. For adolescents, and sometimes I feel like an adolescent. So if I'm in the right frame of mind, I could just turn off and kind of enjoy what's going on here. Just to some extent, yes, I seem to be more impatient with it as I grow older, sort of. But my main problem here is this message here that is being conveyed is just as simplistic and adolescent as everything else in it. In that, in the resolution here, the main resolution is, you have to change and, give up, being who you are, instead of, the person who you ostensibly love or who loves you to accept you as you are. It's such an adolescent fear, and it's just what happens at the end of the film with Mila Kunis. Whatever, she doesn't ever admit wrongdoing and saying, hey, I didn't accept you for who you were. I was wrong. It's okay. I'm going to sacrifice and change for you. I mean, it's such an adolescent fear.
Women, it's so funny because
a woman is going to come along and then it's like you're a fear that you have to change yourself. Right? It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, and probably what's wrong with most relationships.
Right, because a woman falls for a guy, Joe, and they are who they are, and you think that they're falling. The man thinks that they're falling for that guy, and then after a while, they always want you to change and become something else.
No, not always, but that's what's
not always. But that this is a popular behavior.
Yes, it's a popular behavior, but it's so wrong, and that's basically just what's being reinforced as the main message here. And I know it's over analyzing.
No, it's good. See, that's why we like having you here, Joe.
Well, I've seen so many relationships fail because a girl basically is like, oh, I like him, and I'm going to marry him, and I'm going to everything. He's going to change after I marry him. It never works, man. What I mean?
Why are you loving and marrying someone that you're not satisfied with? That you feel that they need change? Like It makes no sense. It's really fucking stupid.
And exactly. And at the end of the film, yes, she might allow for his teddy bear or whatever, but she doesn't accept him for, who he is as a goofball. You know what I mean? That didn't sit well with me, but
yeah. Well, Joe, I don't want to hog up all the time here. We got Billy and Adam here. Adam assigned these movies, so he's given us the theme, the Boston theme, which is kind of cool. So we're going to start with Adam, just try to get a general idea of how he feels about Ted, why he assigned this movie. I'm totally curious. Adam, are you a Seth MacFarlane guy or what, man?
Well, listen, I do enjoy Seth MacFarlane. I do. I will say this. Ted, is it a good movie? No, it's clearly not a good movie. But can I watch it and have a great time and laugh along with it? Sure, because I'm I'm an adolescent. At heart, I'm a 12-year-old kid, and so I still laugh at fart jokes. What can I tell you? But I can just, it's like it's empty calories. I just sort of go for it. I'll accept it for what it is. I enjoy it. I have a laugh. But you know what? Am I going to appreciate a Terrence Malick film? The other two films that I've picked for this discussion, those are films. That's movie making. This is just silliness. But I accept it for what it is. I completely recognize everything you're saying about it, and I can't disagree. It's not a good movie by any stretch of the imagination. It's just silliness. But had I known you didn't like Seth MacFarlane, I might have given you Fever Pitch instead.
Well, that's the Farrelly brothers. So, I mean, it's so funny too, Joe, because he mentions Fever Pitch, And it's not the silliness I have a problem with, because I love the Farrelly brothers, but the Farrelly brothers aren't wasting my time showing me how much television and comic books.
See, that's what I was trying to get at. Like, it sounds like you're just really annoyed and just fed up with this pop culture reference.
I think that's where I'm going with it, because I see it a lot, and I see, listen, there's like a group, an entourage of like younger men they're funny guys. Like, I'm talking about the Paul Rudds and the Seth Rogans and Jonah Hill and those dudes, and I catch them doing it too, man. Sometimes during their when they get silly, they really start to do that, and I get really turned off by it, because honestly, I find them funny. I think they're all funny guys. I think they're extremely talented, but I'm just, Joe, you're right. I'm just tired of the pop culture references. Billy, man, why don't you get in on this? I mean, do you hear what I'm saying? Can you get on board with what I'm saying, or you think I'm going a little bit too far here? And what's your feeling about MacFarlane and Ted?
I agree with everything you guys said.
Thank you, Billy. Let's move on.
Like the smartest guy on the show. That's all he's going to say.
You know what I can compare it to, Tom? I can compare it to watching a crap, C-level horror film. It's like, this is just crap, and the effects are bad, and the acting is terrible, and no one is making choices that anyone really make in that situation. Still, at some weird visceral level, there's still something fun and exciting and goofy and just enjoyable about the experience. So
I tend to agree with that. Yeah, I agree with you, Adam, in a lot of ways. I mean, I kind of compare it to food. You're going to eat healthy. You're going to eat good foods a lot of times. Sometimes you're going to go out to eat fine food at restaurants, works of art on a plate or whatever. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you're going to go to freaking White Castle at 3 a.m. and, just make a pig out of yourself and feel like shit for a while afterwards. You know what I mean? Right. Mm-hmm. And there's a certain sort of perverse enjoyment in that as well. And I do. There are scenes in this film that are really friggin' funny.
I agree with you, Joe. I totally agree with you. I hear you. I laughed a few times, but again, you know what my problem is here, and I can't get over it.
Well, you know what, Billy? Wait. I've met Sam Jones, and I've met Henry Silva.
Oh wow!
You're a Flash Gordon fan.
Oh, I love. I mean,
I've broke bread with both of those men, with Flash and Ming.
Well, are you a fan of the film, Adam?
Yeah, I haven't seen it in so long. I wasn't.
I gotta ask Billy that. Billy, what's your feeling about the Flash Gordon film?
It was too little, too late. If I had seen it, when I was a little kid, it would have been amazing. But I'd already seen the whole Star Wars trilogy, and I was in my mid-teens by the time I got to Flash Gordon. So.
Really?
Yeah. But I mean, it's. I suppose it's goofy fun if you're the right age. But
it is goofy fun. But like, there's something about it that it's so different and odd looking and campy that I don't know. I kind of really dig it. I don't know what it is about it, man. I elevate it. I put it up there for some reason. And
everyone has these, like, when I was a kid, I used to watch really old. It was like the movies they put on a Saturday or Sunday afternoon on your local television station, and it was all these claymation 1960s dinosaur movies and stuff like that, right? Mm-hmm. And that still holds a pretty magical place, in your head when you go back and see the bad special effects and everything. So I think in a lot of ways, like the nostalgia age, where the pop culture age and all that, you go back and you look at that, and so much of that defines your identity, not because it's bad or you've made bad choices, but because that's literally all kids have culturally to, like, we're not all from the neighborhood anymore. Our references aren't our language or our ethnicity. Our references are television and movies.
Yeah.
So I get why it holds a special place in people's heads, and it a lot of that stuff does for me. But I can only take so much of it, especially with MacFarlane. Ted makes me laugh. I just think shit is funny in that movie, and it's stupid. It's great. Yeah. And I think Family Guy is hilarious. But his shtick gets really old really fast because he just hits the same joke over and over again. And his whole like insulting celebrities and former celebrities and stuff like that. It's like when, there's a scene in the movie where the psycho guy played by Giovanni Ribisi is in the
really
parking
funny.
lot, who's always a creepy delight to behold.
Sinead O'Connor.
Yeah, he makes the comment, "Oh, that's Sinead O'Connor. She don't look so good no more." And you're like, "Okay, ha, like shitting on another, celebrity." And you're like,
that didn't do anything for me.
See, Joe thinks that's hilarious. So it's like he does that 5 times every 10 minutes.
Yeah,
one of them is going to land,
ones.
and you're going to think it's funny. The other 4 you're going to think are stupid.
What you were saying there about pop culture. You have a special place in your heart, Tom, for Flash Gordon, and I think that's a really how a lot of these movies are talking about pop culture as if, because they are our childhood experiences. These are our life experiences. And that's really sad in a lot of ways, because ultimately our life experience are driven by shit that was sold to us to sell commercials or movies.
Isn't that amazing?
And that's ultimately the issue that I have with it. I think is a problem is that as you get older and you start to think about the world and you start to think about theoretically you're thinking critically about the world around you, and you're like, and something rang a bell in me anyway. That's just like, well, fuck, man, I don't want my experiences to, my view of the world to be based on, what was on my lunch. So
Right.
a movie that was made so they could sell me a lunchbox.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's the thing. I mean, now with the way we're handling children, parents nowadays are really just putting them in front of screens. So
Well, they were doing that when we were kids
but
too.
it's not. Listen, that is true. But it's not as excessive, I don't think, as it is today, Joe. And
it's a little bit different. It's not TV.
So now you're looking to move into a world where, your memories as a child, what's meaningful to you as a child is not actual life experiences. It's what you're watching on a screen, and it's other people's fictional experiences that are defining you as a person, as opposed to you doing certain things and obtaining knowledge through experience like that. Which is really
ultimately you're gonna, as you get older, you're gonna have that realization that what my whole life and my perception of the world is based on media, and so you're gonna start to form a sort of you're going to be disillusioned, and you have a choice at that point, is to become cynical or to seek some other type of experience out, and it's a difficult path to choose. Adam, how did you sit down with Ming and Flash Gordon?
No, they were both random encounters in Los Angeles over the years. One was at some celebrity event, the other one was at someone's party at their house.
Okay,
they were random encounters.
Who was at the party?
Who was at the party?
Yeah. No, which was it? Sam Jones? Was he at?
Silva was at the party, and Sam Jones was at some celebrity event that I had gone to years and years ago, like a fundraising event.
Okay. Oh, cool. That's very cool. I mean, I would love to. Well, I'd love to do a couple lines with Sam Jones, if you know what I'm saying, guys.
Yeah, we didn't do any bumps together.
So, Adam, how does this speak to Boston? How does this work in Boston with the theme here that you got going on?
Yeah, definitely. That's a good question, Joe.
Well, I chose Boston. Obviously, I'm from Boston, and I think it's just an amazing city at so many different levels. And
so you grew up there like the whole time?
No, I pretty much grew up in Los Angeles, actually, but the early part of my youth was spent in Boston. And growing up, we would go back for all the family was back there, so we'd go back for like 3 weeks in the summer, and then we'd go back for Thanksgiving for a week. So we spent a lot of time back there, and especially this time of year, the fall, right around Halloween, November, harvest time. It just is such a great place to be. So much history there. It's and the history is living and breathing through every part of that city, and it's just the people of the city. I mean, seriously, the term "go fuck yourself" is used like shalom or aloha. It's like it's a term of affection.
Go fuck yourself.
To say hello, go fuck yourself, you wicked retard, go fuck yourself. And it's a proud, tough crowd of people out there, and great sports teams, and it means a lot to me. And I thought, well, here's an opportunity. There's so many great movies that have been set in Boston, and what I tried to do is find movies where they were really just set in Boston. That it's not specifically, it doesn't have anything specific to do with Boston. It could be set anywhere, but Boston, for one reason or another, is the backdrop of the story, and just something that kind of has the accent and the people and the flavor and little bits of the city in it, and that's really it. I just wanted to talk. I didn't, I worked hard to avoid any movies with Ben Affleck, which is hard when you're talking.
I was wondering about that. I was wondering how that happened.
Could have gone The Town, which is a film set in Boston. Could have gone
Good Will Hunting.
Thank you, Good Will Hunting. Right, that's the other one. But no,
wasn't the other one Gone?
Gone Baby Gone, and Gone Baby Gone in the Town.
Those are good movies. I'm sorry, man. Those are really good movies.
Oh, I agree. And did you like Argo, Billy?
Parts of it. I so many movies these days, I feel like they start high and they just slowly, like, they just get worse and worse. Like they're
funny. I get that.
By the end you're just disappointed at the direction it's taken is just so like, it starts with an interesting premise and then you just feel it slowly sliding into the usual worn cliches,
Sure.
So it's like, stories like that are always fascinating to me, but I can't think of a different director, but there, other directors have handled those kind of situations better. The Town I liked, just because I thought it was pretty well done, but Gone Baby Gone is one of my favorite movies. Adam, I lived in Boston for 2 years. Gone Baby Gone has some of the best casting for local faces that I've ever seen in a Boston movie. Like,
nice.
Those people look like the people who actually live in the, not the suburbs, but the like Somerville and any area of Boston within reach of the subway, basically the T. So I love Gone Baby Gone. I think it's a great Boston movie, even though I know it does have Affleck behind it.
Right. Yeah, but you know what, though, Billy? I mean, the guy was struggling with his acting career, and he put together, these, 3, well-received movies, and won an Oscar for one of them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's not a bad little deal there.
Adam, you're not a fan.
Here's a story that actually he won me over a little bit recently, and I did, by the way, see his most recent film, which does not take place in Boston, but there is a scene where he's wearing a Mets hat, and apparently he was supposed to be wearing a Yankees hat. And
right.
He, from what I've read, anyways, he actually fought Fincher on this, and this was the one significant on-set disagreement they had about the making of this film, and he refused to do it. And
I noticed, I saw Gone Girl, and I noticed he had a Mets cap, and I was like, "Whoa, the Yankees pretty much own any film presence, in any movie ever." So I was like, "Wow, that you don't see that too often, do you?"
Adam, let me ask you. I mean, do you think that's ridiculous, or are you like, "Yeah, hell yeah, man, stick by your team"?
Oh, absolutely, hell yeah! Yankees had stupid.
It's just acting.
It's not just acting. I swear to God, my respect for very little that I had for Ben Affleck has gone up. His stock rose for me on that. Absolutely, that's
it's amazing. The Boston Red Sox and the New York Yankees. I mean, Joe, you're a Yankee fan,
Yeah. Well, I will say, man, I've been to Boston a few times, and whenever I'm up there for work,
are you still? Are you allowed to go back to Boston now?
I don't know. I haven't tried.
They check his ID at the.
It must be difficult to even book a flight at this point, Joe.
Yes, I haven't attempted to re-enter the city yet, but every time I go up there, I see that is the die-hardest sports fans that I've ever seen, man. You walk through offices up there. Right. It's not like walking through offices down in New York where up there everybody has the Red Sox schedule right up on their cubicles in their office. They have pictures of themselves at Fenway Park. I mean, it is just all pervasive, man. It is really, it's hardcore. And I remember, Billy, when we shot your short film up there, Vile or whatever. That one kid that you had as the intern, like he was like, I'd love to go down. Wasn't he saying I would like to go
to let everyone know that he would never go to New York because he didn't want to be around Yankees fans.
Because he thought he would get beat up.
Yeah,
he thought he'd get beat up.
Yeah,
that's how warped his perception was. He thinks that if he opened his mouth in New York, everyone would beat him up because he's from Boston.
There's no sadder experience I've ever had than being on the tee after the Sox lost the game, and an entire train full of people just like in a funeral dirge. It was the most extraordinary thing. Yeah.
They take it to heart.
They really do.
Tom, that is the biggest sports city I've ever been to, by far.
Adam, you backing this statement up?
Oh, 100%. And Red Sox Nation is strong. I pilgrimage back to Fenway every couple of years for some games, but I catch the Red Sox every time when they come out to play the Angels out here in LA. And I'd say there's a good of the 50,000 people that are at any one of those games, 25,000, about 50% Red Sox fans.
Yeah.
I mean, half of a baseball stadium in LA is filled with diehard card carrying, shirt wearing Red Sox fans.
Well, Adam, are there? Billy, we just turned.
I worked with a guy. Sorry, Tom. I worked with a guy in Irvine, Orange County, California, from Connecticut. He could not stand the sight of another human being wearing a Yankees cap. He would leave the room.
Awesome.
That's great.
It's true. My wife can attest to the fact that how many times I mutter under my breath, "Stupid hat," anytime I see anyone in a Yankees hat.
You know what's so funny is it's that Yankees fans, they are they've already been qualified. The 28 or 20, what is it, 27, 28 World Championships that New York has won. Yeah. Like they don't need to be as
exactly.
What would the word be? As bitter and bitter as Boston, and as territorial. They're calm and confident, knowing that the next World Championship is going to be on the way. While you guys up in Boston, you fuckers are all angry,
that's right.
pent up.
Hey, Joe,
that's why we're pissed off.
Yeah, Boston Red Sox though three World Series championships in the last 10 years.
That's true.
I know. It's been glorious. There's a Boston bar out here in LA called Sonny McLean's that used to go and watch a lot of the playoff games. And after 2004, they actually managed.
This was an amazing accomplishment. That is magic, man, because you're also talking about, the 2004 year, you're talking about being down 3-0 and then coming back and winning 4 games and then sweeping the Cardinals in the World Series.
Oh, it was glorious.
But
it was just glorious.
But
I pilgrimaged to see the World Series trophy. I stood in line hours just to hug it and hold.
Well, you had
such a beautiful thing.
You had the whole Curse of the Bambino thing going on there too.
Gone. That's gone. That's over. Ancient history.
Didn't a Sox fan try to bury a Red Sox jersey in the new Yankee Stadium when they were pouring concrete?
I read
and Bloomberg like ran to the rooftop, jumped in his chopper, and personally flew out there to yank it out of the concrete before it dried. Like there was some crazy shit
about that. I don't know exactly what the circumstance was, but
I know what the circumstances were. It was Ted and Mark Wahlberg who flew down to Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, Thunder Buddy.
Total side note, Adam, what did you think of Gone Girl?
Oh, I liked it, although I agree with your statement that it started strong and I think kind of petered off a little bit towards the end. Right. But I enjoyed it, and my wife and I actually saw it together for our 5th anniversary.
That's a great date movie, isn't it?
It was great. It was, it's a good
David
5th
Fincher
movie.
Yes, take your date to go see any David Fincher movie.
I think it's a really fun movie. I would never watch my girlfriend with it. In fact, I told her I'm going to see this movie. No, you're not invited because the last David Fincher movie you saw, you didn't talk to me for 3 days afterwards. So,
well, which one was that, Billy?
That was the Facebook movie. I took her to see that.
I like that.
It's a great movie, and we walked out of it. And I always love, no matter how fucked up a movie is or disturbing, I like to talk about it. And she didn't say a word. Looked at me, said, "I'm going home," got on the subway, and I did not see her until the following morning. So that was Yeah. So, but Gone Girl is fantastic. It's a date movie up there with like Antichrist and Eyes Wide Shut for me.
No,
correct.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thanks a lot for talking about Ted and Seth MacFarlane. Everybody, listen. You can come back next week. We're going to continue the Boston theme with some Clint Eastwood and Peter Yates. It's going to be a lot of fun. The Cutting Room Movie Podcast is brought to you by Christiana Productions and New Media Limited. The show is edited and co-produced by Joseph Schreck and produced by Thomas Detloff and Joe Christiana. You can like us on Facebook at The Cutting Room Movie Podcast and follow me on Twitter, Thomas Detloff, at TCRM Podcast. You could also check out Joe's film work at ChristianaProductions.com. Check out Max Cook's new blog at MaxCookUncorked.com.
You missing Max this episode here, Tom, or what?
Big time, man.
Tom would have had your back, Tommy. Max would have had your back the whole time on the MacFarlane shit.
There's no flow tonight. Really. So
how are you feeling after last episode? Real briefly, can you give the last episode that everybody heard? The hard Fisher thing. Can you just give a quick assessment of how you're feeling after? Basically, Max got his comeuppance and got his ass handed to him by our guest. I don't know if you guys heard it yet. It was a crazy freaking train wreck of a show, man. Right. What's your assessment of it?
This is what was going on, real quick, Joe. I was in serious pain with the gout. I was on these steroid pills, which was making me very uneasy because it was like these pills would be like doing like lines of cocaine. So it was really hard for me to like concentrate on one thing for like more than 3 or 4 seconds. So the interview with Hart Fisher, I just kind of let Max kind of do it. I kind of told him that going into it. I'm like, Max, I'm going to ask this guy a question or two, and then boom, you're going to take over. And I was just extremely surprised at the fighting. That went on after that, Joe. It's very hard to be, you do this show, you don't want to be a referee. You want people to disagree, you know what I'm saying? And, have different views and stuff. And that's all well and good. But these guys were going at each other's throats.
Well, that guy was insane, man. He was shot out of a friggin' cannon. And it was very odd to hear Max, who's usually on the offensive and, this and that. That guy just tearing at Max.
Well, let me ask you, Joe.
I will go ahead.
Do you think that Hart Fisher got the better of Max Cook?
I haven't listened to it. Well, I will say that Hart Fisher retaliated so vehemently and so forcefully because I think Max hit, and Max is such a smart dude, man. He's such a passive aggressive little fuck because he always says, "I'm not smart this, I'm not smart that," but within 5 minutes, he basically summed that dude up with the one word, and he said, "Hart, are you a narcissist?" And then all of a sudden, that guy just since then, I've been fascinated with doing research on narcissism and all this stuff. And so, one thing, man, is that if you ever
looking at yourself in the mirror.
That too. If you ever call out a narcissist or someone who has that personality disorder, it just fucking freaks them out, and they go, "Yeah, there's all sorts of stuff." It was really interesting listening to that episode and doing that research. But Max, dude, he called it within 3 minutes, and to his credit, man, he just said that, and that set the fucking alarms off on that guy, and to that guy's credit, he called Max out right off the bat. He said, "You're an anal retentive, passive aggressive little fucker." See, they both really just sized each other's psychological profile.
He also said that there was no doubt, and this is before he even knew any of us. He said this within 10 minutes, Joe. That he goes, "You're the bull of the show. You're the bully, aren't you?"
It was a wild show, man. So I just suspected that you're happy that we're having a really nice, calm conversation here about films tonight.
I have a huge
this episode.
But I do look forward to Max coming back, Joe. On that note,
Max did just text me to see if we had started talking about pussy yet.
Check out Max Cook's new blog at MaxCookUncorked.com, and also check out Max and Adam's Bowler Hat Productions and their Mimosa podcast show at MaxCookandthecounselor.com. Dave Pace is now a contributing writer at Rue Morgue magazine. Look for his work over there and check out his blog on horror media politics. That's right, horror media politics at La Politique Psychotronique at psychotronique.anidealforliving.com. Music from the Cutting Room is done by the Zillatones. Check them out at www.thezillatones.com or search for the Zillatones at ReverbNation.com. We'll be back next week. We're going to talk more about Boston movies. We're bringing Peter Yates's The Friends of Eddie Coyle to the table, and also Clint Eastwood's Mystic River. Until then, we're over and we're out. Ciao.
Tune in next time to satisfy more of your strange desires. The Cutting Room Movie Podcast. We do chicken right.
Gets everything it needs to do whatever.
We keep having this conversation, man. Yeah, it's more of like a supply and demand type of thing. People are going to go to the movies. It doesn't matter what's playing. So, if it's packaged correctly, they're going to buy it. They're going to consume it, and then they're going to shit it out.
I'm sorry, guys, but when you throw Ted at me, I can't. There's not much more I can talk about, because this film. What do you want to talk about? Mark Wahlberg's performance.
Let's talk about that. Well, let's talk about that. Now, here is a quality actor taking his time to do a movie like this.
Right. Right. And what does that say about him?
He also did Pain and Gain recently.
Yeah, exactly.
But okay, so and listen, I'm not even challenging anything you're saying. But why do all these people want to work with him? Is it just a paycheck? Do you think
Wahlberg or MacFarlane?
Well, even just like the people that you just listed off that are signed on for two, is it just a paycheck, you think,
exactly,
for these guys?
Because what I said when I introduced Ted is that there's these mindless goons that go to the theater and turn on their televisions that just want to watch this stupid fucking shit. Listen, when I was impressed with Quentin Tarantino? When I was an idiot kid, when I was 21 years old. Do you understand what I'm saying?
So you didn't like the movie, Tom, is what you're trying to say.
As a young man, yes, before he was a filmmaker, and he just watch any of those Tarantino movies. You see these guys everywhere, and MacFarlane, in a way, is doing, the same kind of stuff.
He's got a huge...
You said that. Absolutely true. He's got his people. He's got his gang. He's got his go-to people, and he's also brings in all the old school people that we love.
Yeah, but I'm kind of getting bored with it, Adam. I'm not. There's just nothing here. I'm tired. It really kind of irritates me that there's all this. Look. It's like beating a dead horse here. With this conversation. We all have it. We all have our dreams and desires to do things artistically that, would be great if money would be put into. But, to see the amount of money to be thrown at shit like this, and it's just, it's nonsense. And you know what? People forget, people forget about this shit. They go to the theater. Like, it's amazing to me that millions of people will go to the theater to see Ted, and they'll make their fucking $100 million. And then by Tuesday, the audience just they don't care. They've moved on. It doesn't stick with them. Man, Joe, how many times have we watched movies, this year? Let's just think about what Linklater did this summer. Just take that for an example. How long a movie like that sticks with you. And then there's just shit like this that just gets just directed by Seth MacFarlane, who also voices Ted, is the constant pop culture references that makes his huge hit show Family Guy so popular. A show I've done without and will continue to do so. MacFarlane's script attempts to be witty with references that come at you a million miles per hour. They become stale and boring after a while, particularly because this is his shtick. Like I said, it's his star, and I gotta tell you, I'm not that into it. Yeah, Sam Jones and the Flash Gordon stuff in here I like and I laugh at, and hopefully it entices some of the younger audience to watch the film. But do we really need this guy making movies? Is he saying anything but I watched a lot of TV when I was young? This seems to be a popular way of telling stories and writing dialogue these days, as we've watched the likes of Kevin Smith and our personal favorite, Quentin Tarantino, go about their business in a similar fashion. To be honest, I'm kind of sick of it. As you can tell, I'd much rather have a conversation about Flash fucking Gordon than anything Seth MacFarlane could come up with. It makes me sad to think about the fools, the robots, the goddamn boring fucks that enjoy this kind of nonsense and allow another $100 million to be put into a sequel, Ted 2, where they get the exact same fucking thing again. I'm expecting much here, but the only heart this film has is the fact that MacFarlane knows his comics, cartoons, and camp. It's all too easy at the end of the day, which is why I'll continue to go unchallenged with most of the films I screen. Thanks, Flash, for saving every one of us. And that is my take on Ted. Blah, blah, blah.
Are they really doing Ted 2? I didn't really.
Oh, yeah.
They are, huh?
Absolutely, and I believe Ted 3 is kind of might be a lock as well.
Of course it is. I mean, this is big.
There's so many questions that got unanswered.
This is big business, Joe.
It was a big movie, huh? I'm so out of it, Tom. I have no idea.
It's not even that it was a big movie, although I think it did okay. It's just that's how movies are really done nowadays. Is to get a movie made, you have to have a franchise. You have to have 3, and they're locked and loaded on sequels before they even know if the first movie is going to do well.
Right.
Yeah. Well,
apparently Liam Neeson and Morgan Freeman are going to be in Ted 2. According to IMDb, along with our hero Dennis Haysbert and Michael Dorn from Star Trek. Wow, that's quite a cast that they already have attached to that thing.
Yeah, it's like a Quentin Tarantino movie. He's just pulling out all these guys that he adored watching. The universe put together by Mike Hodges is unlike anything I've seen before or after. You want to watch Flash Gordon? Because I will do it right fucking now. Sam J. Jones is awesome. Why doesn't anyone fucking use this guy? Oh, wait. Hold on a second. He's in Seth MacFarlane's 2002 film Ted, right? Jesus, I'm supposed to be talking about that film. Oh, man, I really got carried away. Okay, let me do the Talking Bear with a foul-mouthed movie instead. A young, friendless boy named John Bennett wishes upon a star one evening that his teddy bear, named Ted, will come to life and be his best friend forever and ever. The wish comes true, and the two grow up together in male-bonding fashion, watching Star Wars, cartoons, and of course, the legendary Flash Gordon. Now, flash forward to adulthood, where Bennett, now 35 and played by Mark Wahlberg, is still palling around with Ted. This time they advance to smoking weed, drinking beers, and occasionally doing lines of coke with, you guessed it, Flash Gordon himself. The trouble with this bromance, however, is John's girlfriend, who insists John grows up and leave Ted behind. Everything is typical throughout, and you can probably guess where all things will lead, but the star of this film